They might be called the San Diego Padres, but fans of this team stretch well beyond the city and county and across the border into Tijuana. Omar Parra lives there and has been a Padres fan for decades. He says baseball, much like soccer, is part of the fabric of Tijuana, and teams like the Cholos Soccer Club and Toros baseball team have been supported by local fans for many years.
I would say Mexico is not quite divided, but there is two sports. One is soccer and the other one is baseball.
This weekend marks a new chapter for baseball in Mexico, with the Padres playing a two-game series against the San Francisco Giants in what will be the first Major League Baseball games played in Mexico City. This comes as the Padres have made a big push to embrace the cross-border culture. You see it in the team's new teal, yellow, and pink jerseys inspired by Baja California and mariachis that play on the home jumbotron. And in Tijuana,
I would say 5-10 years ago, you would mostly see, I would say 90% would be Boston hats, Yankee hats, Detroit Tigers. So now it's gonna turn around, and I would say 60-70% is, San Diego hats. So yeah, I do see a change.
It helps that the team's winning more games and loaded with superstars. But getting to watch the Padres in person is often an expensive and lengthy commitment for fans living in Mexico.
A Toros game might cost you per person, let's say $25, including a beer and so on. And a Padres game, depending on the game and the seats, but it can, take you back $150 per person.
On the U.S. side of the border, San Diego's South Bay is arguably where baseball passion and the heart of the Friars fandom beats the loudest. The area has produced a trio of Little League World Series teams in the past decade alone, and murals of Padres players and mascots pepper Chula Vista's 3rd Avenue. That's where Padres season ticket holder Liz Baltazar spoke about the significance that the team holds in her life and to her family.
What's honestly has made us bond a lot more too, what's made us closer is baseball. It's just the love that we both have for this team that's honestly makes it worth it. Like, it doesn't matter what the price is, we will pay whatever we can to show our support as well.
The Rancho San Diego resident and her husband Jorge are traveling to Mexico City for this weekend's games.
I'm just excited just to be in the environment. The being in the cultured environment, trying out all the different food items and just experiencing baseball in a different community, a different culture.
The team's revenue has increased along with its growing fan bases on both sides of the border. That's mainly because majority owner Peter Seidler has been on a spending spree, signing stars like Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis to big long-term contracts, says USD professor of economics Alan Jin.
And San Diego now is having more and more fans, and that includes fans in Mexico. We might get some people crossing the border to watch games. Those who can't afford to come to the games, will be watching on television, and they might buy some merchandise.
Over the past few decades, the Padres have played in Mexico a handful of other times in the city of Monterrey. But with this Mexico City series, they're stepping onto a bigger stage.
They're going to the capital, they're going to the biggest city, and so that's going to draw a lot of media attention in Mexico. And so that is definitely going to help promote the Padres brand then in Mexico. And the Padres have been making efforts then to do that all along, and this will just give a boost to those efforts.
Baltazar says this series may be far from her current home, but it's worth the journey.
The Padres is the one team that has my heart for sure.
Plus, the games are still close to what matters most.
My side of the family, my grandparents are from Guadalajara, and same with his family. They're close to that area, but it means a lot.
And in Tijuana, Parra hopes to see the Padres' influence continue to grow.
My dad and some other relatives in other parts of Mexico now are saying like, oh, I want to go to a Padres game. And I send them gear and all that stuff. So I like that. I like the fact that the Padres are representing.
Over the next few days, KPBS will share the sights and sounds of the Mexico City series, including coverage of the baseball ties between the two regions and stories of Padres fans from both sides of the border who made the trip for the historic event.
Fernando Tatis Jr. sends Gurriel to the wall. Lourdes Gurriel will not get that one.
Jacob Aere, KPBS News.
This is well struck deep to center.